Hi, I'm Susanna Liller. I'm a coach. I'm an author. I am someone who accompanies women on their path to empowerment. This is the first in a series of videos, and I want to start at the beginning, way at the beginning, and explain to you that as a young girl, I was very taken, very captivated by the story of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. In fact, I read almost all the Wizard of Oz books. There were many. And it was something about how she starts off as just a regular girl. In fact, watching the movie, it's in black and white. So very ordinary. And then this amazing adventure happens to her. And she gets to meet these magical characters and she gets to solve problems and she finds courage when she probably didn't even know she had it, as well as those three other remarkable, wonderful characters in the story. And there was something that just magnetized me to the whole experience of reading that book and then watching the movie that went with it. And it was what I really relied on as a child, going back and thinking that there was magic in the world, that there really was, and that maybe there was a potential for me to find that magic. But then fast forward and I grew up and I found my first job as a teacher, and I did teach about mythology as an English teacher, and that was one of my favorite things to teach. So still interested in those stories that had that transformative kind of theme to them, but then got into the corporate world and working with groups in organizational development and conflict, where, yeah, change happened and there was transformation, and that certainly had me interested in doing it for many years, until I decided that there was something missing for me. And it was kind of like, and I'm wondering if that ever happens to you, that you get this feeling that there's more. And what's that piece of more? And kind of like a buzzing in the back of my head or a knocking. And I thought, well, there's this coaching program. The Hudson Institute of Santa Barbara had a renowned program, and I thought I'll add coaching into my resume, even though I was sort of doing it with these groups that I was working with, but why not give myself the benefit of taking this wonderful program? So I went and loved it and found myself having to complete a project for it, where I had to come up with some way that I was going to take what I was learning and put it into my coaching practice. Was pondering about what the heck that would be. And then a friend of mine called me up, and it was in the middle of the summer in Maine. And usually we don't have really hot summers, but this was a particularly hot day. And she said, Susanna, I know how you love The Wizard of Oz, and I know how you love Dorothy. And there's a woman who's going to be speaking tonight at the library in Camden, and she's going to speak about how The Wizard of Oz is the hero's journey as told by, explained by the author Joseph Campbell. And why don't you go listen? It would be just your thing. And I'm thinking, no, it's not my thing. It's too hot. I don't want to drive an hour north on Route 1 with all the traffic. But that little buzzing thing was getting, yeah, it was sort of knocking on my door a little bit louder. And I went, okay, I'm going. I get in the car. Yes, it was sweltering. Yes, it was a lot of traffic. I go to Camden Library. I have to go downstairs to the conference room, which blessedly it was air conditioned. And I sit down ready to listen to what this woman has to say. let me tell you, it was like being hit on the top of the head, or maybe the fire with the match being lit from inside. She proceeded to explain the pattern of the story and how the milestones and the characters, all that magic that I had reacted to as a young girl, just eating up this story, was a pattern that had existed in literature for years, thousands of years. And its theme was transformation. And it was like all of a sudden, all the dots, even my teaching of mythology as a young, new English teacher, it all came together when I heard about this pattern that lives in our collective unconscious because it's been in storytelling forever. And the dots were connected, and I knew that this was what I wanted to be doing, to teach women what they could learn from applying this pattern to their own lives. And that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be explaining in the next video about Joseph Campbell and how I did research into that, his books, and how he presented it, his pattern, and how I worked to adapt it to the women that I was working with, and then how that can be applied to you and your life, and learn about the map that I put together. And so you can see what a difference it makes if you live your life knowing about this yellow brick road.